Good morning.
Blog Talk Radio.
Good morning and welcome to the House of the Gospel, Blog Talk Radio. Coming to you from 231 6th Avenue here in Beatrice, Alabama on a beautiful Thursday morning. We are on the line with the CEO of the National Association of Black Defenders, Dr. Michael McCorvey. He's in the airport getting ready to do some traveling, and I hope he'd be safe. But we're waiting on Attorney Jonathan Jacobson to give us a legal update concerning some of the issues going on today concerning the National Association of Black Defenders, as well as issues in regards to civic and other problems that's taking place in the country, voting, or any other issue that you may have legally. If you'd like to give him a call or get in touch with him about any issues whatsoever, call the office at 561-813-3721 or his cell phone at 305-975-4322. That's Jonathan Jacobson. I think I may have him on the line now. I got a 305 call coming in. Let's check it.
Mr. Howard?
Yeah, good morning, Attorney Jacobson.
Good morning. How are you, sir?
I'm okay. Welcome to the broadcast.
Thank you. It's been a while since we've spoken.
Yeah, Dr. McCorvey is in the airport getting ready to board a plane, but he's listening in as well. I would like
There's a bad connection. It's very fuzzy on coming out on my end.
Is my connection?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you hear me at all?
I can hear you, but every time you speak, I hear static with the voice.
There's a lot of static with my voice?
Yeah, I mean, can you hear me clearly? Because I can just speak with about topics.
I can hear you real clear.
I'm sorry, you can hear me real clear? Okay. All right, so are we ready to begin, sir?
Yeah, we're free to begin.
Okay. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Attorney Jonathan Jacobson. I'm an attorney down in West Palm Beach, Florida. As Mr. Howard said, I cover all of the state of Florida. My office number is 561-812-3721. My cell phone, which I answer regularly, is 305-975-4322. My email is JIJLLC@gmail.com. I'm very happy to be here again, based on the request of the National Association of Black Defenders and Mr. Howard. It's an honor for me to speak to everyone today, and hopefully I can be of assistance for you with some of the information I give today, and or if you call me looking for some legal assistance. I always offer a brief, short, free consultation, and we'll try to guide you in the right direction. As we've been speaking on the show for the past several months, we've been talking about predominantly that I handle foreclosure defense, eviction defense, and a couple other civil litigation issues. Recent developments have shown that the CDC has extended the moratorium through the end of July. But as of right now, all indications are showing that the end of July will be the final extension. Now, that's subject to change, but as of right now, they seem pretty adamant that, there's local and other governmental assistance for renters or foreclosure people who may be, subject to foreclosure. Mr. Howard, can you mute your end, because I hear about a rustling?
Okay.
I just want to make sure that everybody can hear me clearly, sir.
Okay. How about now? Go ahead.
Okay, perfect. I hear better now. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
So as I was saying, it looks like a lot of people have been given forbearances, have been given different payment plans, have been given opportunities to try to work through this pandemic and some of the financial hardships they've had. Some of the programs offered by the federal government and servicers who have to follow their guidelines have given people forbearances up to 12 months. I'm unsure whether that is still an available remedy of calling your servicer or bank, but it can't hurt to try. It can't hurt to see whether you can get a forbearance if that's possible. Aside from that, the eviction moratorium, which consisted of people who were affected financially by COVID-19, were able to provide their landlord and or the court, if they were sued, with a CDC declaration affidavit, which basically said, I'm unemployed or my income's reduced because of COVID. I make under this certain amount of money, and I'm trying to work out a deal with the landlord and looking for public assistance. If you did that, that would buy you some time. But again, it looks like that's ending in July. I've heard more and more across the state of Florida there are programs that are allowing people to go to their local government and seek assistance for rental assistance. So if you haven't tried that route, you need to do that in order for you to have an opportunity to catch up on your rent. Because once this moratorium is over, the landlords will be coming out in force to evict people. And all the amounts that are outstanding, late fees, everything that is due under the lease will come due when they file their suits. Now, a landlord can sue you for possession or possession and damages. If he sues you for possession, they're trying to just get you out of the place you are renting. If they sue you for possession and damages, they could get a money judgment against you if they prove their case. So not only do you unfortunately get evicted, but you also will have a money judgment recorded against you. More likely than not, landlords are looking for possession more than anything, but it is extremely imperative that if you are served with a 3-day notice, you contact your landlord. If you're served with any notice, or you should have been in contact with your landlord all along, as I always say on the show, hiding from the problem or ignoring a phone call or approaching your landlord is the worst thing you can do, because that will lead to a lawsuit without a doubt. And once a lawsuit is filed against you for eviction, it's very hard for you to be able to rent a new place, especially with the market in Florida right now where house prices are going through the roof. Rental places are shrinking from the standpoint that owners would rather sell than rent and deal with tenants so that they know they're going to get a premium on their house. There's bidding wars on houses all over Florida. So you need to think clearly and think smartly before you go down the road of not trying to work it out, because I see every day where families with kids are unable to get another house that will fit their family, and or landlords are just turning them away because they know they can get a tenant that's much better qualified and doesn't have evictions on their record. So if you find yourself in that situation, you need to call me. But first and foremost, you need to be proactive for yourself, and you need to keep in touch with a landlord, give them what you can. But if you're served with a summons for eviction, there are two things within that. You have 5 days to either put the money that is listed in the complaint in the court's registry. If you don't do that, you are behind the 8 ball. You waive all your defenses to eviction other than payment. So if you put that money in, then at least you are able to continue to litigate the case. If you don't feel the amount you owe, the amount in the complaint is the amount you owe, you have to file a motion to determine rent within those 5 days. If you don't, again, you waive most of your defenses to eviction, and you will find yourself more likely than not with a final judgment of possession and eviction. So within the first 5 days are crucial. So you call me or you take the steps I'm telling you on this call. Sometimes it's good to have the guidance of an attorney on your side, because we can come up with creative solutions or find ways to see what are the issues on both sides to try to alleviate the situation and come to an amicable resolution. If there's a final judgment of possession, there's usually a writ of possession issued. A writ is usually forwarded to the local sheriff's department, and at some point it's going to get crazy, so there may be more time in between when the writ is issued and when it is posted, but sometimes it can be as quickly as 24 hours to 48 hours, and sometimes it could be a month for the sheriff to come out. But once they post it on your door, you have 24 hours to get everything out and leave, or the sheriff will come back the next day or the following day with the owner and lock the doors on you or take your things out of your property. And I know this sounds like gloom and doom, but you need to be prepared. I'd rather tell you exactly what could happen so you're prepared. And before we get to that point, you take action to try to stop that by calling me and or taking, action of filing information with the courts. So, again, I represent both sides, so I see the hardship on both sides. Landlords, mostly have been left out from assistance. And some of these are mom and pop landlords who make a living off rental income, so it's been tough on them too. So there has to be understanding on both sides. But again, if you're facing an eviction or a hardship, if you haven't already reached out to your landlord to work things out, you better do it quickly, because if they haven't filed yet, they will be filing once this moratorium is over in order to regain possession of the property. So again, call me. Reach out to me in the contact information. I'll give it again later. But also with foreclosures, okay? Foreclosures, the courts are going to get overwhelmed again, whether it's short-term or going into 2022 with foreclosures. Unfortunately, a lot of the middle to low-income housing people who are facing hardship because of COVID or other reasons are going to be caught in this foreclosure storm again. Now, I can't predict the future, but it just, from the articles I've read and some of the information I've heard through other, lawyers that I speak to, it looks like there's going to be a foreclosure wave coming. As I said, if you find yourself behind on your mortgage, you should be calling your servicer. You should be saving the money you can save, and you need to prepare for possibly being sued in foreclosure. If that's the case, again, I don't want to keep promoting myself, but you can contact me if you have a complaint or an issue. We can review it and see what can be done on your end. The worst thing, again, is not responding. When you get served with a foreclosure complaint, you have 20 days to respond to that complaint. You can ask for an extension, but if you're not proactive in asking for it, the court just assumes that if you didn't respond after 20 days, you're not interested in responding, and they could give the plaintiff a default against you. And that kind of moves the process quicker into you being losing your house and eventually being told to vacate the house after sale is completed. So foreclosure basically works this way. They have to send you pre-foreclosure notice. So if you get that notice, act upon it by calling your servicer or bank. If they don't send it, then they have an issue when it comes to the foreclosure itself, because a lot of the standard mortgages include clauses where they have to give you a certain amount of time and have to give you foreclosure notice before they can even file. So again, these are all different procedural case law and contract law matters that if you need help with, you reach out to me. Once they give you the notice, if you don't respond, they will file a lawsuit against you, and they will serve you with the lawsuit. And like I said, you have 20 days to answer. Again, with foreclosures, there's an ability to give you an extended amount of time to reside in the property, to get your affairs in order, to try to work on loss mitigation. Now, loss mitigation is an option that servicers and banks give people when it comes to trying modifications, when it comes to trying to do short sales or sales where it comes to deeds in lieu. I find a lot of people who are having financial hardship are looking to sell their property, and normally in this market they're making a lot of money off selling it, but again, you need to think about whether you can get another place, and you need to think about what you're going to do with that money and make sure that you don't that you save it for whether you have to move in to rent somewhere, build your credit back up. Look at it as a free fall because the market is hot, because you're going to have to figure out what you're going to do and where you're going to have to live. So, servicers and banks for years have suffered the fact that since the 2008 crash and, going in 5 years into it, and even, up till recently, last couple of years, they've they've been the underdogs because the house prices have been depressed. But now it's a lot harder for them to forgive the amounts owed or work deals with people unless there's a program that they have, because they know they're going to get what they're owed when they sell the house in Florida nowadays. So, for example, one of my clients that I have has been able to get an offer that is substantially above what he owes, but the first servicer won't give him any break on the amount that he owes them. So in the past there were deals that were worked, and maybe there will be down the pike where they'll work with you or take a lesser amount of value for the property and what is owed. But again, just so you know, right now the banks, the sellers, the servicers are in a position where they can recoup a lot of the losses they've suffered over the years because of the scorching hot real estate market down here. But like I said, the courts are probably going to get crazy again. And crazy means the pipeline slows down, the cases that are heard or taken are slowed down, the judge's availability, the court's time gets overwhelmed, and that buys people time to be able to get their affairs in order, to live in a place where they need to, or their house for a while longer, and find options to try to even stay in your house, because most people, I believe, do not, when they bought the house, it was their dream house. They wanted to stay there forever. They never expected to be in default. And, it's just a tragedy with either employment or health or other issues that come up where you find yourself in this unfortunate position. But again, with buying yourself time, by having me represent you and buying you some time and kind of seeing, if they can prove their case or not, you will have the ability, and nothing's guaranteed in regards to a timeline, but even the fastest track foreclosure still can take, if you do simple paperwork, you can buy yourself anywhere from 6 months to 2 years nowadays. And that's a substantial amount of time for you to get your affairs in order before, the final judgment of foreclosure is entered. So just something to think about. If you can do loss mitigation, you can come out with a better interest rate or a lower payment or work some kind of deal with the bank, and you want to keep your house, your kids are used to living there, you're used to living there, then we should explore that option first while going through a foreclosure to try to avoid having to turn over the house at the end. Another thing that I kind of not specialize in, but have experience with is bankruptcy. That's kind of the last resort, but it's also a tool that can be used to stall foreclosures, buy you time. And again, that's something that I would have to individually talk to people if they called me about. But basically, the federal bankruptcy rules say that if you are in a bankruptcy, there has to be a stay in a foreclosure case until that bankruptcy is over. So sometimes people file bankruptcy as because they have no choice and have to buy themselves more time. But it's just another way where homeowners, borrowers can use to buy themselves time or clean up their financial affairs because they have no choice but to file bankruptcy. Chapter 7 bankruptcy is a bankruptcy where all your debts are liquidated. Usually you can either surrender the house that you have, or you can buy time to, within that bankruptcy. A Chapter 13 bankruptcy, a lot of people choose. It's a little bit more expensive than a Chapter 7 bankruptcy, but they kind of look at all your debts. They kind of assign a 5-year payment plan based on what you have, if you can afford to pay money. And usually within the Chapter 13 bankruptcy, you can work out possible modifications for your house that can be favorable sometimes. Again, because of this market, it's very difficult for banks, servicers, or owners of property to let go of money that's owed to them because they know they can get it in the open market. So while you think that you owe $250,000 in principal, with all the fees, attorney's fees, cost, escrow, everything, you could owe the bank $320,000, and they can sell the house for $400,000, get their $320,000, then you're left with the surplus in the courthouse. So again, if that happens, and you are foreclosed on and a sale happens of your property, there will be sometimes a surplus in the court registry that you are entitled to unless there's other creditors knocking at the door. So if you find yourself that, you're at the end of the line with a foreclosure, it's sold, always make sure that you kind of find out whether there's a surplus or not. Obviously, there's companies out there that will call you immediately, send you letters, try to do a deal with you. Well, they'll take over the surplus and take a fee for it. But before you get into something like that, you need to call me and see whether, first of all, it's a fair deal for you to do and whether it can be done cheaper by me or somebody else, because a lot of these companies will prey on people who don't know that you can get more of your surplus if need be rather than them getting a bigger piece of the pie. Okay? So there's laws regarding that. If you're, for people who are not in any financial distress when it comes to foreclosures or eviction, I also handle real estate contracts and other, civil litigation matters. So with real estate contracts, that's another biggie these days, okay? When you enter into a contract to buy a house, or whether the seller or the buyer, the contract has very clear terms within it, and you have to follow those deadlines, or as a buyer, you could lose your deposit, for example. So always make sure that, sellers and buyers want to get the house as quickly as possible, but make sure that the title company you're dealing with or the attorney you're dealing with has enough time in order to meet that deadline so you don't find yourself having to fight over a security deposit or have a seller that just wants to back out and get more money from another buyer. So a lot of people don't like to pay for legal services before a problem happens, and that's one of the biggest mistakes you can have. Because if you're buying your house, which is your biggest asset, your biggest, expenditure, it's always worthwhile having an attorney review the contract. If you find yourself getting into an issue before the contract or the closing date comes due, it's good to call an attorney before the deadline passes, because a lot of what's in that real estate contract is black and white, and if you don't follow the rules, you're behind the 8 ball to start with. And you don't want to be put in that position. So if you find, for example, that your lender's dragging their feet on getting you the loan, you need to reach out to the seller or have your agent. Always keep in touch with your agent. Always keep in touch with everybody. That's my number one thing. If somebody is not communicating with you effectively, and, you can sit there and blame them, and there may be some part of the blame, but the blame is on you. It's like I tell people with modifications, for example, and I'm sorry to deviate from the real estate issue, but it's the same line of thought. If you decide to file for a modification, you get all the paperwork in, okay? You can't sit there and say, oh, they're going to call me someday or they're going to send me paperwork. Yeah, they may be required to, but they may drag their feet. Their departments will be overwhelmed. So it's your responsibility to call your bank or servicer or whatever it is, your loan officer, every week, I don't care how much you bug them. You need answers, and you need to be explained. Especially another thing I'm finding that I'm inheriting a lot of clients who come to me saying that their attorneys don't communicate with them or don't tell them what's going on. That's not good. I mean, listen, you don't want a client who's constantly pestering you and calling you every day for a status, because that's just unreasonable on that side. But if you have questions, if you're unclear as to what your attorney's doing or the direction they're taking, you have every right to call them. You have every right to email them for a status. An attorney should be returning your call, should be communicating with you, and telling you every step of the way if something is filed in the case or something is coming up. If you don't get that kind of service, then there has to be a damn good reason, or you need to find another attorney. Okay? There should never be a lack of communication when somebody is paying to retain an attorney to represent them and guide them through a tough legal situation. So when it comes to the real estate contracts, make sure that the terms are clear on them, that you understand there is an ability to sign addendums to extend things, but you have to get going on it, and you have to be able to have the other side agree to it. So just think about those things when you're either buying real estate or if you're doing anything. Other than that, some of the other things that I can help people with are probate issues. So if you don't have a simple will, if you don't have a power of attorney, if you don't have a living will or a designation of a healthcare surrogate, those are things you must have in your records, especially if you have a family, and especially if you want to direct how your assets or how things are divided or how you're cared for, or if you need somebody to be able to handle your financial affairs if something happens to you. Those things you need to always have, and you need to have a basic will that directs what goes to what, where goes to where, if you're married, the kids. Everything has to be outlined, because if not, it goes through, when you pass away, it goes through, the probate court without a will, and the court and the rules and statutes kind of control how things are going to be dispensed, how things are going to be taken care of, what the priority is. But you can avoid a lot of that if you have a lot of it kind of in writing in your will. When it comes to a living will, a designation of healthcare surrogate, those are instances when you're in the hospital and you're, unfortunately, you're either in a vegetative state or you're in a position where you can't make decisions on the moment. So you have to, have somebody who's able to make those decisions for you. So it's always good to have somebody you trust, obviously, with your life, so to speak. You have an alternate in case that person's not available to be able to make decisions for you. That also kind of tells the hospital, tells the people that you've entrusted, whether you want to be kept on life support, whether you want to be, various options on those telling you what your desires are, whether you want to donate your body parts if you go to heaven. These are glum subjects, but we need to prepare for them. Because as they always say, death and taxes are absolute in life, and these are things we have to think about. Now, power of attorney is also important to have. It kind of allows somebody to, you can designate what you want them to have authority over, but for example, if you want them to be able to pay your bills while you're in the hospital, if you want them to be able to pay, the aides that help you, and because you can't get to your checkbook, you can designate somebody to do that. But again, be careful, because somebody who has a durable power of attorney also has power to, unfortunately, do things that, can be not of the wishes of the person that gave them that authority. So it has to be someone you really trust. It needs to be, you can make an attorney durable power of attorney, and they're bound by, Florida rules and principles in the Florida bar. So sometimes, even though you may not know the attorney, or if you do or trust the attorney still has to act in your benefit and do what your desires are. Obviously you pay him for that service, but at least you know that the attorney will do exactly as you want him, because he doesn't want to find himself losing his license or facing a bar complaint or having a reputation of, not following through on what they say they're going to do. But again, I truly believe that a simple will is absolutely necessary. And again, I can help you navigate through that if you need the help. And again, the other documents, or you can try to do them on your own, but sometimes, there's a questionnaire, there's questions you may have, and you can reach out to me for that. And I'd be more happy to kind of walk you through the process. Just want to give you my contact information one more time. Again, it's the law offices of Jonathan I. Jacobson. My office number is 561-812-3721. My cell phone is 305-975-4322. And my email is JIJLAWLC@gmail.com. I'm located in West Palm Beach, Florida, but again, I cover the whole state. I have cases in every county. Not every county, but almost every county, the major counties. I have the ability to appear by phone, appear by Zoom, hire other counsel to cover hearings for me if I need to. But I can kind of steer the ship in the right direction to make sure that you're taken care of. That's basically, my speech. If anybody has any questions or concerns, you're always more than welcome to reach out to me. If anybody has questions today, I'm more than happy to take them.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hello? Attorney Jacobson.
Yes.
Okay. My question is, there is a check being mailed out today from the government for parents that have kids. Do you have any information about that? Any information about that at all?
Okay. Yeah. The child the child tax credit is starting to roll out to families today. I got one today in my bank account for my 2 kids. So basically, part of the big relief package that was signed in the last COVID bill gave child tax credit payments to parents with children. It varies anywhere from $300 to down per child, so you kind of have to see where you qualify. But for example, for my 2 children, $500 showed up in my bank account today, and that will happen for the next 6 months. And then after that, there will be another 6 months, whether it's a credit on your income tax, whether it's additional payments. But just be aware, and again, I'm not a tax expert, I'm not an accountant, but these payments could affect your taxable income. So, that I just basically know that they started out with monthly payments today. Also, if you filed a tax return using your unemployment income, the bill also was giving people refunds for payment on taxes for that for the first, I believe, $10,200. So if you got unemployment for several months, let's say you got $30,000 and you filed taxes based on that $30,000, the government said that for the first $10,000 of each person's tax return that included unemployment, they were not going to tax you on that and refund you if they did or if you paid tax on it. Again, I practice law, I'm not accounting, I'm not a tax expert, but if you have issues, you can read about it or seek out information regarding that, or call the IRS and see whether you qualify for it. The IRS also has on their website, you can ask for an IRS transcript, which means that you go online, you ask for it, you fill out information, and then you can see how they calculate your taxes, whether you're due any refunds, whether they missed any refunds that you were due. And it's a simple tool that you just kind of go in and you make an account for yourself, and you can get some information. I don't know whether the Where's My Refund tool covers the child tax credit or any other, but it does cover your normal refund. So you can always check the status on Where's My Refund. It's usually just type it in Google, or there's an app by the IRS. But that's as far as I kind of know when it comes to that, Mr. Howard.
Okay. Just for review, I don't want you to go into any details or anything like that, but the areas, just to give us the names of the items that you covered on this particular interview. I appreciate it. Just the names of them, say, for instance, like bankruptcy, power of attorney.
Yeah, of course. The topics that were covered today were the topics of eviction, of landlord-tenant law, some of the intricacies having to do with that, some of the issues having to do with foreclosure, having to do with the end of the moratorium for evictions and or foreclosures on the horizon. As of right now, the CDC has issued a deadline of July, at the end of July. Again, they've extended it several times in the past, but they seem to be pretty adamant about this being the last one. So you just have to make sure that you are always on top of your own affairs, that if you need help legally, you contact me. I also covered probate, wills. Also there's trusts. Trusts are more expensive than wills, but, kind of keep information out of probate. If you want to make sure you have a power of attorney, a living will, a designation of health care, surrogacy. I've covered some bankruptcy topics, some of the tools that are used to try to buy you time. And that's pretty much any, real estate issues and other litigation issues. I handle a various amount of different types of litigation issues. So if you don't know, ask. If you have a question, ask. I have people calling me all the time. But those are kind of topics that I handle.
Okay, I appreciate you taking the time out to continue to update the National Association of Black Defenders clientele. And I don't know if Dr. McCorvey has a question, but he's still on the line. Dr. McCorvey, are you still there? Yeah, his line is still open, but evidently, Dr. McCorvey. Nope. Okay.
Okay. Well, again, the National Association of Black Defenders is a wonderful, organization. We want to help people bring about peaceful social and economic change. I'm glad that they've reached out to me, and I'm glad to help. Again, ask the question. Don't just sit there and don't look for help, because help is out there. And again, I wish everybody the best. Thank you for the opportunity to appear today, and take care, everyone.
All right. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. God
All right.
bless.
Take care, Mr. Howard. Good to talk to you.
All right. Good to talk to you. Take care now. All right. Bye-bye. All right. That was Attorney Jonathan Jacobson, who's worked with the National Association of Black Defenders, and he has given us a wealth of information on different issues. The child tax credit thing that rolled out today. One of the things about that, don't think because you get that money for your kids that is not going to increase your taxes, but it will increase your taxes. Information on power of attorney, on wills, probate and will, living will, bankruptcy, foreclosures, evictions. I like the idea about eviction being at the top of the steps and being ready to go. But there is some things that you can do when you get your eviction notice. In fact, you got 24 hours once you get that eviction notice to start taking some action. But anyway, it is important that you as a person know what you can do when you have situations coming up in regards to legal situations. I don't have any more now. Dr. McCorvey at 561-581-1545. Line is still open, but I can't get any response from him so far as what he would like to say or add. We have been recording for the last 39 minutes. I was not able to play back the attorney's voice and pick it up by the cell phone, but anyway, we hope that you will continue to support the National Association of Black Defenders, Attorney Jonathan Jacobson. And if you want to contact him, it's 561-812-3721. His mobile is 305-975-4322. You can reach him by fax at 561-828-4628. He's open hours Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., Saturday and Sunday, 9 a.m. to 9 a.m. to 10, all right? And if you want to get in touch with him, give him a call with any legal issues that you have. On behalf of all of us here at House and Gospel Blog Talk Radio, National Association of Black Defenders, Dr. Michael McCorvey, and all the people at the National Association of Black Defenders, thank you for being here with us today. All right. Take care now.